What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Ready to See podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. And now this is episode 4 on the podcast. Welcome back. If you are new here, I talk about horror things. I talk about anything horror related, horror characters, horror video games, and horror stories. Today I want to speak to you about Megan, the movie Megan. It just recently just came out. I still haven't seen the movie yet, but I have noticed that this movie has actually gotten great reviews. The last time I saw the score on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a 95% on it. For the movie Smile, the one that came out last year, that one got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. And to be honest, that movie right there, that was one of the creepiest movies I've seen by far, to be honest. And it was one of my favorite movies from 2022. I think the main reason why Smile is a really scary movie is because it's how the director makes the suspense happen on the movie. I think that's what sets it apart from the other ones as well. Even the jump scares, they really are jump scares. They're very scary, and I had a blast watching this movie. My brother, he saw it on theaters, and he said that it was a really great movie. It was very scary, and I believed him, man. I did believe my brother. And I even saw the trailer by myself as well. I just wish like they did not show one particular scene that they showed on the trailer. I wish they just only kept that part on the movie and not show it on the trailer. It was a part where the main character, she was on her car, and then her sister, she was knocking on her car window. Now that part, man, they should have just left it for the movie and not put on the trailer. Because to be honest, that right there is one horror scene that you probably might never forget. And speaking of not forgetting horror scenes, I think one particular horror scene that I probably would never forget is probably maybe the time when I actually got to see the Chucky movies. When I first saw Chucky, the original one, I was afraid of it, man. Like, I saw it on Telefutura. That's like a Spanish channel. I saw the movie in Spanish, okay? And the movie, it was just crazy. I was afraid how he looked and stuff, man. Throughout the movie, he actually just tries to go and try to get to Andy. And Andy is just a little boy in this movie. I think he was around 6 to 7 years old. And in Chucky, he was just trapped on this doll body. And he wanted to just take over Andy's body instead. He wanted to transfer his soul into Andy's, and the only way he could do it is by knowing the voodoo magic that he used to transfer his soul from his original body to the dolls. He was planning to do that throughout the whole movie, but the good thing is that he couldn't. He didn't succeed at all. But he was very close, to be honest. Years ago, I actually made a video about that as well. It was like a what if scenario if Chucky actually took over Andy's body. And that video is still up there on my YouTube channel, which is Cristopher Zamora. If you guys want to see it, you go check it out right there. And like, probably another horror scene that probably, I said horror scene, right? But I'm mostly just talking about the horror movies that actually mostly come to mind. Like the horror movies that I can't forget. Not the horror scene, but the movie itself. Another horror movie that I can actually mention to you is the Jason movies. I think it was part three. Like I remember watching the movies like over 2 years ago. I think it was part three. Yeah, I think so. It was the part where he was actually chasing the girl, and by the ending, she was like trapped in the lake, right? And Jason was on the cabin just looking at her throughout the whole time, and then he just went downstairs and he actually just broke the door wide open so he can get to the girl on the lake. But he actually couldn't because he can't really swim. And that scene was very creepy because he wanted to kill her. And Jason, he just wants to kill anybody that enters his camp, this Crystal Lake camp. Yeah. There's a lot of movies out there, man. There's a lot of movies that we actually don't forget always, and they always stay behind our minds. Now, this is not anything horror related, but I think it's probably important to talk about. I saw a video a few days ago about actors not being famous anymore. Like the newer actors, they're not that famous anymore. Like for example, movies today, you had to say that they're mostly focusing on in a lot of superhero type of movies. They're mostly focusing on the DC movies and the Marvel movies. Now the actors, once they go to a different franchise that is not Marvel, like for example, Chris Evans, he went to a different franchise and starred in the movie Knives Out. People just usually just refer him to Captain America because that's what he's mostly known for. But like different actors today, I feel like they want to get to be known by playing different characters, not just playing just one particular character. That's probably one of the main reasons they try to do different franchises and not just stick to one. Another example is it's actually the man who plays Hawkeye. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Jeremy Renner. He played in one of the movies for those Bourne movies. I have not actually seen it, but I think that was way before he had started playing as Hawkeye. But to be honest, he's just mostly known for that role. And I did notice that he actually did get in a freak accident. It says right here, he underwent 2 surgeries for blunt chest trauma and orthopedic injuries after he was crushed by a snowplow on New Year's Day near his Nevada home. The Marvel star was clearing snow from a private driveway when the accident occurred, his publicist previously told CNN. And right now he is still recovering from that accident. Yeah, man, being in a freak accident like that, Jesus, I don't know what. I don't even want to know what's the feeling for that, but that's insane. Hope he recovers very soon. It just goes back to making movies and everything that he does. Recently, I've been researching the movies from the 90s. Like, I wanted to know what movies were the best ones from that decade. And I actually got to find out that The Silence of the Lambs, it grossed around $140 million. Like, it actually made that much money for that time that it was in theaters, which is a lot of money. But back then, that was unexpected. That was something unnatural in the 90s. Most of the horror movies in the 90s that I researched, they mostly made it to around 20 million to 15 million. But Silence of the Lambs, they made 140 million. I've seen a couple of scenes from that movie, and I believe it does deserve the recognition, and it deserves everything it got from being really good movie for that particular time in that era. I've seen the first scene, like in the beginning scene when Hannibal he's speaking to the lady, and how he just mostly focuses on her, and he just looks very scary all the time, smiling. I think probably what made this movie so successful was probably because people back then were probably more into like psychological horrors, or maybe there weren't that many back then. That's why that movie has a character that uses his words instead of like his actions to speak for him. Now those type of villains, they're the most dangerous ones, to be honest. Another particular character like that, I believe, is Jigsaw, the the one that came out in the franchise Saw. I believe they're about the same. They both use the words, but as you know, on the background as well, Jigsaw actually makes those traps for the people. He believes that his purpose is to actually make people see that their actions were wrong and that they need to fix it. That's what his purpose is about. He just wants to fix society and fix people, and like to know their what they did is wrong and to learn from their consequences. That's what I got from the movies. This year, Saw X is coming out. I'm not really sure when it's coming out, but the one that came out, I think a few years back, I think the one that came out a few years back, I did not really enjoy it as much. It was cool to see the actual traps and how they did the kills for the movie, but to be honest, the story, it was just lacking. It just seems he was just forced. Chris Rock wasn't as great as I thought he was going to be in the movie, because I just thought that maybe it could have been a little bit more different. Now, what I do like is that Chris Rock actually tried to do something else. He just stepped out of his comfort zone and tried to do a horror movie. His friend Adam Sandler, he has made comedy movies most of his career, but he has actually had good drama movies as well. Like the movie that came out in 2019, I think, the one called Uncut Gems. Now, I saw the movie one time, and it was good. I did enjoy his performance right there. Man, there's a lot of, thinking about it now, there's a lot of legends out there in the industry, to be honest. And there's just new ones coming in soon. And everybody's just gonna get old, and you're just gonna keep repeating and repeating. Yeah, if you think about it, all of our favorite actors, celebrities that we look up to, yes, they're getting older, man. And guess what? So are we. Yeah, so are we. We are actually getting older. My favorite actor I saw growing up was probably Jackie Chan. Just him doing all those stunts by himself, it's just mind blowing, man. There's no actor today that does their stunts like how Jackie Chan did his. Those stunts in those movies are just crazy, man. They're out of this world, and nobody can top that, man. Nobody can top Jackie Chan with his stunts. His acting is so okay, but he's mostly just known for his martial arts and his stunts in his movies. And I noticed that as well, that in his movies, most of them, they usually have like the behind the scenes. Like if you have seen the movies Rush Hour, always by the ending of the movie, there's always like bloopers or behind the scenes that they show at the ending. They're pretty funny though. Like the one that mentions the gefilte fish in the Rush Hour 2 movie. I think the second one out of the three Rush Hour movies is the best one. And they actually did announce that they're making a fourth movie. I'm not really sure how that's gonna do, but I hope it does well. I was really hoping for the third one to be the last one. I'm not really sure how they're gonna do it with Rush Hour 4. One of the main things that people compare to, well, I compare them to each other, is Bad Boys to Rush Hour. Like these two duos, they're like one of the best ones in probably in movie history. These two duos, they're like the best ones, and I don't think anybody else can top them. So look here, I'm searching up how much the box office did for all the Bad Boys movies. And the first one actually did get $141.4 million. It's a lot of money. The second one, 273 million. And the third one that came out in 2020, 426 mil. Now that's a lot of money for the Bad Boys franchise. And it's kind of actually rare for sequels to make more money than the original one. That's what I noticed when I was looking for when I was doing research for my upcoming video for Scream. I noticed that the box office for Freddy's new Nightmare movie, it didn't do so well in the box office. And that was actually like the lowest one for all the Freddy Krueger movies. It came in at $18 million. And now the one that came before that one, it was actually Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. The Final Nightmare, that was the keywords for this movie. And that one actually did a $34 million. People weren't expecting Freddy's New Nightmare to come out. So I believe that's why he just did so well. But Freddy's New Nightmare, it just wasn't as good. And to be honest, that was like one of my least favorite ones from that franchise. Freddy's New Nightmare. My favorite A Nightmare on Elm Street movie was actually the third one. It's called the Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors. It was actually the third one in the series, and that was the best one because although the kids that were in the building, they were all trying to fight Freddy, and they were like using like different powers and stuff. Before that one, the second one, it just wasn't as great. The first one, like the original one, that's a classic, but it just mostly was focusing on one character, which was Nancy Thompson. And then they actually switched her with someone else. Like I said, the third one is the best one. The first one is just a classic. Does Freddy vs Jason count? I don't know if that's a Freddy movie or a Jason movie, but I just know that both characters actually come out. And that was like one of the best crossovers, to be honest. Like one of the best crossovers we have seen in horror history. I don't know if there's any other um horror villains that have come out against one another. There's an actual a short film on YouTube about Michael Myers versus Jason. I saw it like a long time ago, but like focusing on Hollywood itself, I don't think there hasn't been a huge crossover like that in a while. They have to, man. They have to at least bring out one of the big players, and they should have their own movie as well. Like, I don't know, we probably saying Pennywise and maybe Art the Clown. I don't know, probably that could be a good one. That could be a good crossover. But yeah, I think that is it for this podcast, guys. I know I was kind of everywhere on this one, but yeah, I think we got good enough content here. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to the website or channel wherever you're watching this. And thank you so much if you did listen to it as well. I've been trying to put out one episode each week for y'all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and maybe I'll see you guys next week. Nah, fuck that. I'm going to put out another episode for next week. Hopefully the next one is way better, and I hope you guys join me for the next one as well. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And if you made it this far, leave a comment or review on what you think about the whole podcast. Are you guys enjoying it? What do you like about it? And what do you guys think I should work on? I know this is just barely new. It's still barely on beginning stages for this podcast. But hopefully guys enjoyed the information I provided you today, and hope you got something from it as well. And as always, guys, take care and live to the fullest. Bye.